Hello, my name is Charlie Waits. I live in Jasper, Alabama. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit tonight. Just took my bath, feel good, ready for bed. Got my pajamas on, got my Transformer shirt on, Optimus Prime. He was a childhood hero of mine, but that's not the main topic I want to talk to you about. The main topic I want to talk to you about is Peter and Jesus. You know, I was thinking in the bathtub when I was sinking in the water. Well, I thought to myself, there are two men that have actually got to walk on the water, Jesus and Peter. Um, and I got to thinking about that a little bit more. You know, we have problems in our daily lives all the time. Those problems want us to look at them. Those problems, they want us to sink into them. You know, that night when the disciples were out on the Sea of Galilee and they were in the boat, they were rowing for their lives, and they thought any moment would be their last because the boat would sink and they would all drown in the water. You know, they were where Jesus told them to be. Jesus told them to row to the other side while he sent the people away. So they're exactly in his will, but they had no hope because the more that they rowed, the worse it got. But then something happens. Then comes Jesus walking on the water. He comes walking on what they fear the most. He comes basically walking on death, and they think he's a ghost. They think he's a ghost. But Peter, God, you got to love Peter. I mean, he was willing a lot of times to stick his foot in his mouth, and I totally understand that. Peter says, if it's you, Jesus, if it's really you, bid me to come to you on the water. And Jesus says, come. And Peter jumps out of the boat, and he forgets himself, and he walks. As long as he's looking at Jesus, he's walking to Jesus. He's walking on the water. He's walking on the death that was there to kill him. But then he looks around. He looks at the wind. He looks at the waves. And he starts to sink. He starts to sink into the death, into the water that he was fearing. And then he cries out to Jesus. Jesus just reached down, and Jesus pulls Peter out of that death. Well, I think about that. I think about that in relation to our problems in life, in relation to not having enough money or knowing where our next meal is going to come from, or the problems in the country, or anything that anybody on this planet has a problem with, that they're wrestling with. If we look at that problem, we're going to sink into that problem. We're going to sink into that worry. We're going to sink into that doubt, and we're not going to be able to go anywhere. But if we keep our eyes on Jesus, if we keep our gaze fixed on him, then Jesus is going to help us walk on that problem. He's going to help us walk to him. He's going to use the problem as our sidewalk, as our pathway to him. But we've got to trust in him. We've got to keep our eyes on him. We've got to keep our gaze on him. Because if we keep our eyes on him, we'll be able to do what he does. We'll be able to do what we see him doing, but only if we have our eyes firmly fixed on him. Only if we don't give in to the doubt, to the water, to the death, to the problems that are all around. Because those problems, they want to be looked at. They beg to be looked at. They want you. They want you to sink. They want your attention to be on them. The enemy, our enemy, the devil, Satan, he wants us to look at the lie. He wants us to look at normal reality, and he wants us to sink into it. He doesn't want us to live into our God-given, our birthright of being able to do what Jesus did when he was on this earth. If we keep our eyes on him, we'll be able to do that. It'll take practice because there's a lot of things that want us to look at. My phone wants to be looked at all the time. It rings. I'll look down. I get lost in a problem. But with practice, we can look to Jesus instead of looking at the problems. And he'll make a way where there is no way. He made a way for the disciples. And then what happened after? There was perfect peace. Jesus calmed the storm, and there was a respite. There was a moments of peace and tranquility and reflection after the storm. So when we keep our eyes on him and we walk through that storm, we're going to get to some peace. Sure, there are going to be other storms because the enemy doesn't quit, but we don't quit. Jesus doesn't quit. Jesus is forever at the right hand of our Father, making intercession for us. So we've got to keep our eyes on him so that we can do those things and so we can teach other people to do those things. Everything, every problem around us is just another form of water to be walked on. Anyway, I appreciate your time. I hope this, can be useful to you. And I feel like, I just feel like I should say amen. So amen. Thank you and good night.